The movie centers on the smart family patriarch Buddy, the eternally optimistic and sometimes delusional regional theater producer, his wife Macy, a pragmatic woman whose love for her husband is increasingly strained by their precarious financial situation and his grandiose dreams, and their two sons Leigh and Derek. Leigh is a quirky, theatrically obsessed middle schooler with a flair for the dramatic and a burgeoning sense of his own difference, while Derek is a handsome, normal and popular high schooler who desperately yearns for a stable, ordinary life. The film opens with a school meeting where Les's teachers express concern over his unusual behavior. A discussion about anginas in a CPR class leads Leigh to declare that make his flesh creep, mostly because he has never seen one. His history class assignment, a one-page report on manifest destiny, becomes a 9-page original musical called Les Whiz, set in the French Revolution. His father Buddy, a true theater person, is unconcerned, seeing Les's behavior as a sign of his artistic nature, though a teacher suggests Leigh might be a statement. Buddy shrugs off with theatrical empathy, saying the theater world only cares about talent, not orientation, while the teacher insists on Christian values. Leigh receives validation from a ghost-like figure of Noel Coward, who assures him that their theatrical minds operate differently than others. Derek meanwhile chafes at his life in the theater. He is popular and has a girlfriend, Annabeth Devine, and would rather play football than participate in the family business. He even accuses Buddy of giving him a popular name while giving his brother Les a name with no value. The family is currently putting on Fiddler on the Roof, and the director Ernie Saraceno threatens to quit because Leigh keeps sneaking into scenes, upstaging the actors and arguing that Fiddler's Anatevka would have children in it. The main conflict arises when Buddy, attempting to elevate the family's fortunes beyond their constant struggle and debt, announces a huge opportunity, a chance to run the Barn Theater in New Jersey for the summer, which if successful could lead to a 5-year contract for a second theater, the Players Theater in Milwaukee. This would finally provide the family with the stability Macy has been longing for. The decision is put to a family vote. Derek vehemently votes no, hating the instability and the constant cycle of moving and starting over, pleading to stay where he has friends and a girlfriend. Leigh, however, sees the move as an escape from an ugly town where he doesn't fit in and votes yes. Macy, fearing the risk if the summer fails they will have nothing, but unable to deny the lure of the 5-year stability, votes yes, much to Buddy and Les's ecstatic joy and Derek's fury. Derek attempts to rebel by announcing he will stay behind with Annabeth's family and get a job at Foot Locker. Buddy's response is typical. He encourages Derek to sleep around and dream bigger, insisting that theater is better than working at a shoe store. Derek dismisses the theater as bullshit. The family sets off, traveling to New Jersey and squatting in empty houses being sold by their friend Dee Baskin, a former West Side Story actor turned real estate agent. Their first show at the Barn Theater doesn't draw an audience, and Ed Monroe, the theater's owner, is clearly unhappy. The future of the Milwaukee contract is already in jeopardy. The strain begins to take a major toll on Macy, who feels lonely and exhausted by Buddy's constant promises and the unrelenting struggle. In a heated argument, Macy accuses Buddy of thinking only of himself and for failing to keep his promises of a better future. Buddy defends their unique and big life and his love for her, telling her he will make this work. In an act of inspired, and ethically questionable, enterprising, Buddy attempts to boost subscriptions by visiting and joining 11 different churches and temples, including Greek Orthodox, Catholic and Jewish congregations, to offer reduced theater party rates to their parishioners. He successfully doubles their subscriptions, much to Macy's astonishment. This newfound success temporarily reignites Macy's hope and their passion for each other, and they celebrate their holy cow moment with a quick tryst. Leigh meanwhile begins exploring his identity, receiving unusual advice from an actor friend about seducing plainer girls with the single thought of "I have a foot-long one." He continues to seek roles, consistently receiving the same discouraging "Thank you, Leigh. We'll call you." The family is still in limbo, still living in Dee Baskin's empty houses, with Derek constantly worrying about their lack of a backup plan. Buddy remains steadfastly optimistic, dismissing the risk by stating the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. He tries to talk to Derek about his seemingly promiscuous behavior, forgetting he had initially told him to sleep around, highlighting the hypocrisy of his ungrounded philosophy. The family still pursuing their dream, Les auditioning, Buddy working the angles, and Macy and Derek resigned to their uncertain fate. The threat of losing everything and the possibility of Milwaukee hangs heavy in the air, underscoring the high-stakes gamble the Smart family has taken for Buddy's artistic ambition and the dream of a stable life. Leigh Smart sits backstage contemplating his life with a ghostly Tallulah Bankhead, feeling lost as his brother Derek seems to be finding success with girls. Their conversation is interrupted by the sounds of intimacy, and they discover Les's mother Macy is having an affair with Kyle, an actor from the company. Leigh flees in shock, only to be caught by his father Buddy, who has just received a joyous phone call. They got the Milwaukee contract? 5 years of stability for the family. In his excitement, Buddy also announces that Leigh got the lead role in Brighton Beach Memoirs, praising his talent and emphatically denying any nepotism. Buddy, seemingly on top of the world, rushes out to buy champagne to celebrate. Tragedy strikes immediately. Buddy collapses and dies of a heart attack in the store. The next scene is Buddy's funeral, held in a church despite his lack of faith. Many people attend, including actors and Dr. Kanengisser, who reveals that he had advised Buddy to retire due to his heart condition, a warning Buddy had ignored. Macy is overwhelmed by the turnout, wishing Buddy could see the packed house he always loved. After the funeral, the family learns the full extent of their new reality. Buddy had a contract for Milwaukee, but the offer died with him. They are now left with nothing and no plan. Macy decides they must move back to her home state of Kansas to live with her brother on a farm. Derek is devastated, realizing the promise of stability, football, and a life away from the theater is gone. Ever the dramatist compares the move to the black and white section of The Wizard of Oz, lamenting that no one will get him there. Their uncle Walter tries to welcome them, but less as abrasive intellectual defense of his deceased father's choices against the conservative Kansas values, such as a hostile exchange about gun control, creates instant friction. Confronts his mother about the affair he witnessed before Buddy's death. Macy tearfully confesses, explaining that she felt dull and unseen in her own life, and Kyle simply saw her. Is unable to forgive her. He later talks to the spirit of William Inga, a famous playwright from Kansas, who suggests that the state could inspire his art, but only focuses on Inga's suicide. At their new high school, Derek quickly integrates using the theatrical foot-long penis mantra he learned in New Jersey to gain popularity. He introduces who remains an outsider. However, finds a surprising connection with Selena Roach, a smart, sexually confident girl who is also ready to leave Kansas for a bigger life. And Selena skip gym class, where they bond over their dreams of New York and LA. Selena, who knows people talk about her promiscuity, reveals she's using her working brain to defy the small-minded town. In turn shares his New York ambitions and the belief that he's a little bit gay, confessing he still has never seen. When Selena encourages him to touch her, he does, only to be overwhelmed by his own feelings of disgust and awkwardness. Macy's grief manifests as increasing alcoholism, coupled with feelings of guilt about her infidelity and her failure to save the family financially. She turns to Walter, her former fiancé, who still carries a torch for her. Walter attempts to help by offering eccentric advice about food allergies as the cause of her mood swings and relationship troubles. Macy tries to regain control of her life by applying for a job as a bookkeeper at a local church, hoping to replace the chaos of her theater life with the security of a respectable job. Later, Leigh and Derek have a blistering fight about their father. Derek cruelly calls Buddy a joke, terrible and fucking tragic, asserting that their theatrical life was embarrassing and a waste. Leigh defends his father's bravery and passion, screaming that Derek is a boring, ordinary asshole who was never special. At school, Leigh confronts his mother about her drinking. She responds with a painful declaration. She is simply trying to survive, and she sees Leigh as clinging to a fantastical world, limiting himself by not accepting their harsh new reality. The family receives an unexpected package on Macy's birthday, a leather-bound engraved Bible postmarked from their old address in Akron. Macy is convinced this is a sign that Buddy, perhaps for her sake, found faith before he died. This single act restores her hope and sense of purpose. She immediately declares they are all going to church. Leigh confesses to Derek that he was the one who arranged for the Bible to be sent, pulling one last theatrical stunt by calling Ernie Saraceno to mail it. The lie works, pulling their mother out of her downward spiral, but Derek is troubled by the deception. Leigh reminds Derek that the lie is helping their mother, just as Derek's lie about his own popularity helps him. Derek softened admits he tried out for football and didn't make the team. Macy quits her church job and, energized, tells Leigh to drop the timeline on his New York dreams, calling the 5-year goal the same kind of stress that ruined her marriage. She declares you're either all in or you're not, and that they are leaving Kansas. The film ends with Macy, Leigh, and Derek preparing to move again. Macy has negotiated a new deal and is aiming for another shot at the Milwaukee theater, intending to program only Neil Simon plays as a financially safe strategy. Leigh, now an employee at the theater, feels his father's presence and legacy. Macy, realizing her own love of the theater world, playfully threatens Derek with an onstage mime role if he doesn't work harder, embodying the spirit of the ambitious theatrical life she used to resent. The family, though still facing an uncertain future, is now united by their shared theatrical destiny. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.